me to go pro. Heroes of the Dorm is a very hype event. I think you guys should all go see it. I will be there as well, so if you're going, make sure to say hi.
Actually, I'm going to. So
And we're all going.
hey, we'll be there.
Oh, who do you think's easier to spot?
Me.
Clearly, yeah.
Clearly.
Purely on popularity.
Because
I mean,
he's
an
got all the gold belts he's carrying around. You also
Yeah.
got first place at another event. What was it?
BlizzCon 2014, right?
2014? Maybe 2016. One of those.
It was 20. It wasn't 2016.
No, it definitely wasn't 2016. We're gonna bring up the battleground while we try and remember years. You know, it's like looking at a Mayan calendar up here. My goodness, Gale Force Esports
Whoa!
here, taking us to Braxis holdout.
Okay. Well, I mean, I was gonna say that if Lutano, when I spoke to him at Western Clash, he's like, look, obviously Tracer's the hotness. Been queuing up a lot of Tracer. Time for me to put a little Tracer under my belt. A few weeks later, obviously, you know, Tracer ended up getting a few changes. But Tracer's still around. I'm thinking maybe they'll make a play, try and counter around that, but all of a sudden we get Braxis. Tracer, not exactly a Braxis.
She can
hero.
cater to like that 1-3-1 with the 3-man and be a part of the kill potential if she would like. I would say it's not unlikely that she gets played at some point in time, but definitely not the go-to kind of Tracer map. And this originally, when you were on the roster, I believe, Fan, this was the go-to map for GFE as a whole. Now, I might be getting my time frame on when Gale Force was good at this map versus when your time on it was, but this has been the go-to for some time, and without a doubt, it's got to be something threatening whenever you see Gale Force take it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's absolutely correct. When I was on the roster there, I mean, I stole the idea from Fnatic, and you know, they were the original inventors. Braxis started out with like a 1-4 split, and then eventually it became like a 1-1, 3 people roaming. There's been a bunch of different metas, but Gale Force has always been really good at the meta in terms of Braxis holdout. So,
and the main priority, at least feature and kind of characters that seem to shift in priority on a map like Braxis holdout is, can you jump a sidewall? And if the answer is yes, and it doesn't take a major cooldown, you gain a lot of value because the transitions around that boss area between the two, things like the Medivhs, like the Genjis, also, you know, zone control, like Garrosh.
Or somebody that can throw people over walls.
Yeah, another hero that has a surprising amount of value on a battleground like this, out of all the niche tier 3 heroes, that suddenly spikes up quite a bit, is Zarya, just because of her threat, survivability, and kill potential.
I've been thinking this all day. If I'm going against calculated, very easy to see burst damage, like a Jaina, if you're maybe somewhere else, maybe a Kel'Thas, but against the Jaina, that is free energy.
Yes. Are you... Is this a statement? Is this a question?
I'm saying that
I'm a bit of a miss.
It's more of a question / statement of if there's a Jaina picked up and Yoda's my flex hero, I leave Lutano to do whatever. Can you run that double melee in that bot lane, have ultimate control with the Zarya? I'm not sure how it plays out late game. It's just kind of always you constantly hypothesize on when and where do we see this. I never see it.
yeah, I mean, it used to be run all the time on Braxis holdout in the 4-man, but the reason it fell out was because of the rotational meta. Zarya, while she's great at just holding down 1 point or sieging, and you know, tanking turrets for energy, she's very, very weak when she has to constantly be rotating. She loses all her energy during rotation, and you can kind of play around her shield when she doesn't have energy at the start of the fight.
That is not what I expected. Malfurion seems likely. Maiev was let through as well. We also have Medivh that's been let through, so we'll see if that comes out. Medivh, wow, this is escalating quickly.
Yeah, but if we look at the Genji, that shows that Team Freedom immediately, once you see the Genji over the Maiev pick in this type of priority and the bans being onto the Stukov, knowing that you're volunteering the Malfurion on the other side of the table, you're pretty much saying we're drafting only to the map. And their next 2 picks cater exactly to that. The
Another
Dahaka
solo
for the
lane.
side, the Muradin, again, can you get over a sidewall was the question I asked. Genji can with his passive. Muradin can with his Dwarf Toss very, very easily and very quickly.
I was going to ask, because you want to sustain on a lot of areas, but now with Maiev here, would we get a Lucio maybe? But now it seems like maybe the Karazim would fit in here for Team Freedom if they want to keep up that aggressive rotation.
I really like the threat just on the point itself that Karazim provides. Much like he can on the bottom lane in Dragonshire, he is an insane problem whenever you get those auto attacks. Granted, you have to be considering what your opponent's front line is, because it doesn't matter how vulnerable they are. If they have enough crowd control, you're going to be a dead Karazim in the bottom lane, you know, either way. But it's definitely something we might see kind of come to light here for Team Freedom.
Yeah, I'm really liking Freedom's draft here. I mean, Genji is just the king rotator on this map. He pretty much outduels any other hero in a 1v1, and he rotates as fast or faster than any other hero from top to bottom. So basically, when you have Genji, you control the rotate. The one thing that Freedom is kind of missing at this point is wave clear. I like to call it, plan B. On Brax's holdout, obviously you don't want to lose the Zerg ever, but if you do and you don't have wave clear, normally you just lose the game right there on the first wave. So, they have the global control, they have the rotational control, but they might need a plan B here. They might need to pick up some wave clear. The support pick, it can be flexible.
Okay, we've seen kind of the double, like you have solo laner 1, solo laner 2. Is a plan B, a Ragnaros, considered here?
Considering they already have a Dahaka, I would say it's a lot less likely, but
I blame it on Octalysis. Because they've run that, right? The Dahaka Ragnaros?
Yeah.
I blame it on them.
It's definitely possible.
Hanzo ETC is going to be the rotation from Gale Force. Scatter Arrow can get a lot of damage. There isn't Garrosh to get that kind of redemption threat onto the front line. One fear I do have already with the composition is high up is the Maev pick on the side of Gale Force. Maev is amazing in 1-4s. She is outstanding at a 1-4 with the kill potential, pretty good wave clear starting, as early as level 4 with the armor, or excuse me, not the armor, but the physical damage. But this is not a map that caters to that. We just talked about we're out of that meta. She has amazing kill potential still to join that floating 3-man, but she doesn't have as big of a high impact, and she can be played around when she's looking for those kind of 1 to 2 easy skirmishes on the map. Again, it's Maev. She is obviously first pick, first ban kind of for a reason, but I just immediately look at this and have hesitations.
Is this where Freedom goes the supportless Abathur composition? Muradin self-sustained, Dahaka self-sustained, Genji hopefully enough mobility.
I can tell you there's no world I would ever take that risk, but
Heroes
we've watched Heroes Heart do it, so there it is.
There it is.
And the Junkrat. So there's your extra wave clear. Here's the supportless Abathur pseudo support, but the Junkrat gives you that solo laner as well as Dahaka, and then you just rotate the Muradin Genji around, see if you can make the plays. We're doing it.
It's definitely risky, but I think having Genji Abathur into a Hanzo is a little bit too tempting for them to pass up on. If played right, that's just a miserable life for the Hanzo there.
So what do we get here for the last pick? Who's ungankable at this point? Blaze obviously comes to mind.
Tassadar?
You need the solo and somebody that can actually take the point when nobody's around.
Well, now you just made that list from who's the last pick to now I need a million parameters being met, Jay. How you just went from any hero available to I need a very niche one. You know what? I don't know. And I don't think Gale Force knows necessarily that all meet those kind of parameters, which is why we're digging deep into the time here.
Ragnaros, I feel, is susceptible. Sonya, if she gets stunned out.
I personally would like insane amount of macro pressure from this last pick. Thrall is anything but that. Actually, so much so that, let's say this was before Sylv was crippled, I'd be like, pick me Sylv and just all in. Just start being a problem as early as level 1 and starts pressuring out. Whenever you see a composition like this where it's so relying, like, I would argue that originally when the 1-4 existed, and you guys came in and kind of revolutionized, with the adjustment breaking past the 1-4, you were asking the question of what if we don't cater to the expected playstyle that currently exists and what can counter that current playstyle. I personally feel like when you see a team catering towards the opposite of that, they're going with your ideology where it's like we have 3 kind of floaters, we have that Abathur for that hat that can be a support anywhere on the map whenever we need it. It's not as good of a support, but it's pretty close. If you go and you go, well, what if we don't play that playstyle? You do the opposite. Just go, okay, back to the 1-4 and we push as hard as we can. You have to answer to us or we're a bigger problem than you are ever going to be with your gang squad. Granted, Sylv is not nearly as disabled, and Thrall does not cater to that playstyle whatsoever.
Who were you the Sylv player with Gale Force before? Who was the Sylv player? Because you guys ran it on Braxis before. I remember that because I was always rooting for it. Go figure.
Go figure. Now he just roots for Butcher whenever we get one.
Well, I mean, and they've already Sylv.
She's not your bae anymore. One passive gone, and same with your love.
They murdered her.
Here we go. It's game 4. See if Gale Force Esports has what it takes to send us to a game number 5 as we are on what used to be and still debatably is one of their best battlegrounds.
It's going to be tested here. The supportless, somewhat, with the Abathur composition. Collusion, he's getting down. Lutano, it's a dance party.
Yo, I never watched that tint of that skin on
Do
Abathur do the worm, and it looks really like weird how those kind of cords and cables kind of shift with his.
Yeah, I must say, as much Abathur as I've played with that, ever since the Mecha skin came out, I actually have semi-retired the Pajamathur skin.
Yeah.
Because it's so good.
I've only got 2 words to say to that. Logical decision, man.
Yeah. Just going to sniff out a rotation as the mine's there.
And now it's gone, like magic. Looks like it's going to be a 4-man posture, 5-man for that of Gale Force Esports towards the top half of the map. The biggest thing here with the composition that we see out of Team Freedom is not matching that 1-4 and kind of, again, that was very extremely fluid rotations. It's going to start with Dahaka. His home is bottom. Junkrat's home is top. Abathur is wherever you can hat, right? And so it's just how effective is that 3-man going to be floating between these two lanes for Team Freedom?
I like the positioning. B-Kid. I mean, there's no reason to push out here at all. You can just kind of casually poke. The more you push out, the more vulnerable you make yourself. And that's one way of getting vulnerable. As you can see, B-Kid now under a lot of pressure. That is a lot of damage with a limited amount of heroes there to cause it.
I'm just honestly really surprised B-Kid was even willing to give him a slap with that Doom Hammer. Yeah. If I'm a Junkrat, I see a solo Junkrat flip a thrall towards him, I just go, there's a whole team immediately behind this because there's no way he loses that trade. You saw how fast he was like, slap, slap, that's 50% of your HP. You want another one? He ends up surviving and making it out there, but a lot of confidence after that concussive mine comes out. We got 6 seconds until we got ourselves the very first beacon phase as the camp was picked up for Gale Force. Going to apply a little pressure towards top. But this is one of those compositions that normally I go, you know, what can you expect? Where do we expect this rotation? What we would like to see? What are the, you know, kind of major victories versus losses? But to be honest with you, Freedom's intent is chaos. It is going to be mass rotation and just catching off Gale Force where they don't expect. 3-member rotation bottom, where does Genji immediately go? Towards the top half, and you can expect, again, that kind of back and forth.
Fan talked about winning the 1v1 as a Genji, and that's definitely something Thrall can't stand up to. Nasmus eating a bit of damage. There's going to be the roots down. Good body block here. Hat not able to keep him alive, and that's going to be first blood here going over to Gale Force.
Yeah, that was really well done by Gale Force Esports, and anytime they can get value out of that Maiev within the kill potential, as I was saying, she's amazing in a 1-4, but she doesn't do terrible within those ganks, even getting the tether to be able to set that up, but I didn't think it would pack maybe enough punch to make up for what they're going to lose at other areas in the map. And as we already see with this very fluid laning composition and kind of dynamic that we see from Team Freedom, they didn't gain more, but they definitely still got something at the same time, even though they lost that kind of death on the bottom half of the map.
This top lane under assault, it only gets easier because there's only one tower to defend against these minions, which means you can siege up quite a bit more. So Gale Force, they're going to opt to trade here as they get the push in. Tether going out. Nasmus going to go ahead and burrow under to break that tether. So they're going to hold for now. But again, B-Kid, he's going to need some help unless Gale Force makes a serious trade there in the bottom lane. And whenever you see the Genji and the Junkrat, you know that you at least have a numbers advantage.
Gale Force still trying to do their best to be able to get the siege. And this is why when I was talking about, you know, as far as the Sylvanas theory that we were kind of talking about before, if you cannot match into the fluid laning that Team Freedom is going to pose on you, then you have to make sure that you either, I mean, I was going to say match them in rotation, which is clear that they can't as they end up losing the track down on the top half of the map. Then you go, well, all right, well, if you're going to be on the top half, we have to force somewhere. And that's where that Sylvanas goes, well, you can't even be top because if you keep doing this, we're at your keep before the game has even gotten to that point. And Gale Force is trying. They're doing their best. It's just one of those, compositionally, they can't really demand the respect of Freedom as much as they would like to.
Right now they're holding points, but yeah, I mean, the minute you see the Genji and the Abathur and the Junkrat.
Nice tether.
Yeah, they're going to get there directly into the roots. It's going to pull him out. The power slide over, but Lutano's come down and putting a lot of damage onto Biggie there on that Hanzo. Biggie able to get over the wall, and now Nasmus holding point for now, but Fury and team starting to get low on the front line. Tether's going to be out. Michael Udall pulling him in. The power slide's going to be there.
No root, though.
Scatter arrow just missed off that top terrain to get the bounce back.
Nasmus ends up getting the hack, going to be able to heal up. Drag not going to connect, but Fury falling low. There's reset one. Tether getting the pull back, and it's not going to net a kill, though. Lutano? Oh, man, I thought for sure he'd get that on there. Nice Stormbolt, excuse me, going to be thrown out. Percentage now obtained here for Team Freedom. This 1v1 is still going to go over to Yoda. Even has the concussive mind to buy a little bit more time if he would like. And this is exactly what Freedom was waiting for. Whittle away, make the fluid rotations, wait for the mistake, gain the upper hand, and this is where we gain a lot of percentage. Now, if Gale Force manages to stop this, just rinse and repeat until this happens. Once you take the first fort, swap your pressure, put it towards the bottom half of the map, and here we go again. It is a cool, calm, and collected game from this point on for Freedom.
I mean, Fan mentioned the fact that Team Freedom, if they lose the Zerg wave, they don't have wave clear.
But what about the other side?
I got news for you. Gale Force, with that Thrall pickup, they are severely lacking in that. I mean, Hanzo does have explosive arrow, but that's not going to do a ton. And then all of a sudden you look at Maev. Unless somebody's stacking in there and you're getting resets on those Fan of Knives,
I agree with you. I personally feel like Maev, as long as you have the option to use your E to get wave clear, I think she's underestimated in how much wave clear she does provide. Granted, that's in ideal circumstances, not with a team fight, and the Zerg rush is colossal. It's going to be a difficult time.
I think Dwarf Toss was interrupted there. And now, there it was. I was going to say, I couldn't quite tell if the animation went off, but Biggie missed the scatter arrow again, Dread.
If he ended up hitting that scattering arrow, that for sure would have been one dead Dwarf. But now they end up keeping themselves alive, even getting the drag. Heather's used there, but the knockback buying a bit of time. Lutano gets the switch strike in. The actual concussive mine used by Yoda coming out from above ends up getting the knockback, locking down 2 kills. And now suddenly, Gale Force Esports find themselves miles behind in this game. Yeah, I don't know how that happened actually at all. I'm guessing you like misclicked the Z or something?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you go to place a mine and it'll automatically move your body out and you're keeping it on the rest of the minimap. Look, we've all been there. You hate to see it as an Abathur player.
You love to see it as an Abathur hater, though.
That's definitely not me then.
Yeah, only a few heroes do I have that kind of blind rage towards. Trana probably being one of those.
Don't say Abathur.
Maybe Medivh being, no, Abathur's one of the few on the opposite side. He's one of my few, the proud. I love him. 10's going to be picked up for Freedom after this top force. I love this decision making. Granted, it probably is going to get stolen, but this is Gale Force just going, time's up, let's do this, boys. If this 10's, oh, 10's are here too. Watch Nasmus, can he hold? One, Zugrug's got it by himself. Avatar on the point is going to fall apart quickly.
Yeah, Lutano coming in with the Dragon Blade. Collusion's like, look, I can do it too as the Swift Strikes go out. Biggie, Collusion's like, hey, brother.
Do you
think Collusion is the clone is the evil brother?
Out of the two?
Even though they're already like, you know, it's like the double evil brother.
Yeah. No, I think I think so. I think Lutano would probably be the evil brother, just because he's got such an adorable face. There's no way that guy's as pure as he comes off.
Yeah, but the evil Genji clone.
Yeah.
Versus the Hanzo.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
So it's already the evil brother, quote unquote. But if is it like super evil?
Triple evil.
Well, speaking of evil, this boss is eviling down this top lane, and Gale Force is falling apart. They desperately need 10. They're going to need that big Mosh Dreadnought to really turn this game around. I can't see it happening any other way. Junkrat Concussion Mine going to be the only interrupt that we'll potentially see outside of a Stormbolt. But right now, Gale Force has their hands full, and they are still waiting to hit 10. Tahaka splitting off in the bottom lane for Team Freedom. Camp pushing down there. This composition, we've seen it work, Dread, but never this well.
Yeah, I mean, it got the one kill that it needed, and it got the split pressure when Gale Force tried to apply the pressure early enough. To be honest with you, I feel like Gale Force just did not expect this to even be an option for the composition out of the side of Team Freedom, and it was enough to, you know, be the kind of straw, it feels like, that broke the camel's back. We got 10 seconds out. Heroics just now here for Gale Force Esports.
I think it's got to be Mosh Pit.
It has to be the Hail Mary Mosh.
You know, they have the Earthquake available.
Echo?
I mean, Echo is... he's got stage dive, which is really surprising to me, Dread.
I agree. This is just accept. I think what that is them going, we're so far behind, we need somebody split pressure to match this Tahaka. But I do fall in the same train of thought where it goes, you need that miracle play. Look at Genji right now, kind of sharking around. He's looking for a big flank. Just waits for the trigger to get pulled here.
He's coming in. We'll see. Holding position for now, but waiting for that one moment to open up. There it is. Akaface has been pinged. We'll see if they come in. Remember, stage dive will be here. The Wolf just missed, as does the Roots from Malfurion.
Here's the thing, though, is because this camp's pressuring and Fury's on the top, look at this. Lutano made the rotation down. Now Fury and the top point doesn't matter. There's the drag. They get the kill, and now they get the keep. Now if anybody responds, will they take the top objective, gain 100%, and say, GG, no re. This is beautiful dismantling by Team Freedom.
Dread, the Zerg wave is in the bot lane. I mean, even if it doesn't get keep here, which it definitely will, I mean, this is directly to core, and this might be directly to a Saturday's game here for Team Freedom. Things getting desperate. Gale Force moving down to the bottom. Stage dive is available. We'll see if they take the fight. Tahaka's used his burrow. Here it comes.
Stage dive ends up being used. The drag immediately from Nasmus as he falls low. The Warden's Cage going to lock him down. First kill now going over to Gale Force. The Riptire coming through, and he immediately gets the one shot there on to Hanzo. Yoda taking the trade into Mike Udall, but reset number 1, 2, and 3 here for Lutano there with that Dragon's Blade. Finds a fourth. No, Mike Udall actually using the shadow up, but Genji going to track him down. Lutano says, I want what I started here, and he's going to go ahead and finish it. A ace, 5-for-0 wipe here. Actually 5-for-1 wipe, but Team Freedom pull ahead by miles, 100% Zerg Rush, and probably game here, J-How.
This is almost impossible right now for Gale Force. They went all in on that. It started out well, but Lutano on that Genji has been such a force this year that it might be enough to secure the victory here, to move them on and face Team Octalis now, almost the Team 12, but Team Octalis. Yeah, it is Octalis.
Octalis is my...
Octalis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's a doozy, man.
Octalis. They could have come up with an easier name.
You know, I just thought it was beautiful that it starts with Oct, and, you know, it's still representative of anything numerical, you know, because that team, we go from Roll 20, we got Team 12, we still got the 8 now being representative, a little bit of everything. Here's the 100% Zerg Rush making its way here into the base here of Gale Force Esports.
Yeah.
The key dropped.
I called bottom, but it is indeed top, as we're going to see isolation miss there for Nasmus. But again, the amount of wave clear on the side of Gale Force, they've got to take a crazy team fight. B-Kid getting solo, forces out the Sundry, and that's going to hold them alive for now.
Keeps up the Gale Force a little bit longer. The percentage on the core has not been touched yet, but now the shielding is going to get removed. Now the damage is going to be coming in, 93% and counting. Team Freedom is looking to end this game, end this series, and move on to Team Octalis tomorrow. 49%, 40. Zugrug and Lutano are the only ones to stand here. Mikey Dahl keeps himself alive a little bit longer. Zugrug, can he do it? Is he the Muradin who could? He is. Team Freedom take the series 3-1. And move on again to tomorrow to take on Team Octalis here in the North American playoffs.
Something about no support. I don't know. It's like you show up in a quick match game or you get into Hero League and somebody just snap picks something that they don't need to pick, and then it wins anyways. But it seems like somebody's figured something out with this composition. Heroes Hearth, obviously, you know, showing us the way.
I think the biggest thing is with this type of composition, why it is so difficult to kind of maybe understand the impact that it has is if you view in an objective strength of Abathur with support shielding Abathur build, starting as early as level 4, and how impactful it can be, if you view that as half of the value of a support provides normally in those type of fights, and if he gets 2 hats off, I would argue it's definitely half or maybe even a little bit more than that target. And then that could be anywhere on the map at any point in time every 5 to 6 seconds. Normally you'd be like, well, that's amazing, Dread. Like, why don't I pick that on every battleground? It's like, because 5 by first 5s happen quite consistently, so you aren't going to get that value. I'd rather have a normal support. But what map do you not consistently get a 5 versus 5 or anything bigger than a 2 versus 2? Braxis holdout, because rotations are so important. So if you constantly are rotating, it's Abathur's dream to be like, wait, I can be a real support. I was born to be the slug, the supporting slug. It's actually amazing how that battleground caters towards that playstyle so very well. He debatably is better than most supports as the solo support because of that diversity. It's just you have to get value out of the global.
And I thought I was the one with the crazy theories.
I mean, what do you think, Van? That's what I always do. When we don't know, we just ask Fan.
I mean, Abathur had 18k healing that game compared to Mal's 30k. That's basically like an Uther's amount of healing. You know, that's like a low healing support's amount of healing, so it's not bad there.